Good morning. We're here to do some extraction, my favorite part of beekeeping. We get to reap the benefits of all the hard work of myself and the girls. So, we're going in to see if we can find if the honey is capped. Oh, it's looking beautiful. Look at that. Now, we only need 75 to 80% capped, but this is 100%. And this entire box is just like this. So, what we're going to do today is use a fume board. I didn't used to use fume boards, but I've found that they're really effective. So, on our fume boards, thank you. We're using a little bit of honey robber, honey bandit, honey bee gone. Forget what it's called. Anyways, you can buy it, and it deters the bees. This is a fume board. It's got a nice little felt pad to it. You spray your Bego. Don't need a whole lot, but this is a brand new one I just bought, so I might need a little more than normal. We place it on top of the bees, which then drives the bees down into the hive and then allows us to go ahead and be able to extract this with very few bees on it. I also have used the blower method, where I'll pull this box, put it on a little stand, and we actually take a leaf blower and blow the bees out. I'm hoping there's enough sun out here today. The sun actually warms up the fume board and it will drive your bees down. So we just have to wait a couple minutes. I'm going to go ahead and put another fume board on another hive so we can go ahead and look at that one. Oh, it looks like the same. The girls have been busy. Look at all that Brazilian pepper. We can tell from the yellow comb. It's beautiful. I don't really even need to pull it out, but I will just for your sake, because I can tell by the weight on this box and also by looking down. Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. More than 75% for sure. Thanks. Linda's helping me today. Hasn't been very long, but let's take a peek. These things are miracle workers. Look at that. Very few bees. So I'm going to crack the whole box. I got helpers today. These are heavy. Love it. Thank you.
I got it.
And we're going to go ahead and just take that, put it in the trailer. I've left my mic. We've placed a tarp, and then we're also going to put a solid board on top. It'll help from robbing as the bees are going in. And we're going to hopefully fill this trailer full of honey. All right, we're going to go put the fume board on another hive, so we got a head start. Good job, kiddo. So this, are you filming? Yeah. So this particular hive had 3 supers on it. I'm going to leave one of the supers for the bees, so I don't have to do sugar water feeding for the bees. This second super looks just as good as the top. Oh, I'm super happy. Look at that. Now that's some Brazilian pepper. Beautiful. My yard right here is going to be a blend of Brazilian pepper because it's not fully surrounded, but it's a great, these are lovely. You know what? I don't even know if I need to put the fume board on it hardly.
You just pull this one?
Yeah, we'll go pull this one while this one's on. Oh, these things work so great. I lost my mic again. Same here, fully capped, every single frame. You can tell by the weight. Oh, so we have a few bees. If you'll put it on the thing, I'm going to show you what we do, and we'll blow some bees out of there. This is, oh my gosh. The bees are going to have lots of honey to be able to go through the winter. We may even come back and cherry pick a few, because there's probably honey in the bottom as well. That's all right. So we're just taking the bees. We're actually taking a leaf blower, and we're blowing the bees off. It does not hurt the bees. Usually flip it. And there you got it. Ready to go in the trailer. Oh, we can take two.
Go ahead.
I've also got a full super here. So I'm going to come back and put some other frames on this hive to leave for winter. Plus I will check down below and see what kind of resources they have. But as you can see, there's a little bit of just nectar here. This whole frame is more than 75% solid, so I can take this. But if you were questioning whether this honey was ripe or not, you could take a refractometer.
Here.
Oh, beautiful, thank you. If you use a refractometer and test the water content in this honey, 15.5 to 18.5% is acceptable. The other thing you can do is what we call a shake test, where you would actually go like this and try to shake that nectar out. If the nectar fell, it's too much water. Otherwise, we're ready to pull. Hi, Becky Deneen, and I wanted to share with you today our finishing process. We extracted from our hives 36 supers full of honey, and now we're coming to the honey room to extract it. We've chosen to use the mechanical method because of having such a volume. We really need to use the spinner. Today we're going to be using a 20 frame spinner. It spins both sides of the frames. So once we decap the honey, we're going to place it in the spinner, turn it on, and it does its own magic and spits out that honey. So I also am choosing to use my knife. Just a regular old bread knife. I find that it works really well. Sometimes you can get a serrated edge. That works too. For me, this seems to work fine. In my hives, I actually run 9 frames, which allows the wax to actually extend over the edges of the frame, which helps when you go to decap it. So my decapping bucket allows us to go ahead and once we decap, it contains all the wax. It allows and drips out the extra honey from the bucket. So you can actually save all the honey from that as well. Right now I'm going to go ahead and shut it off because our bucket I think is almost full. Nope, wrong way. That upside down. That's why he has trouble. Okay, I have a rag here. Always good to have a rag handy. There's a little nail on the top that helps you hold your frame so you don't have to have it slip. Then you just take your knife and slice. The decapping comes right off, and if you can do it in a single layer, it's so much fun. Isn't that beautiful? I usually leave a little angle so it just drops off. You can sometimes get it where it falls right off, which is really nice. Now, if you don't get every single cell, I usually just use a little knife. This one did really nice and it all came off. Again, another reason why I like to use 9 frames. And then you turn it and do the opposite side. I just use a regular fork. You can buy a little roller. I do find sometimes the roller beats up your wax some. So for me, a fork works really well. A little sawing motion. Few that didn't get capped. And then we just place it in the spinner. As you can see, we've already done quite a few. There's a slot for it. We'll do 2 more then. You want to make sure you have an even spinner. So if you have some frames that are a little heavier than others, make sure you space them equally. You definitely want your spinner to not be off balance. Otherwise, you will have it walking around your floor. And a spinner of 20 frames is not a fun thing to have that done. So we're going to do a couple more frames and we'll be all done. One of the things I did want to, you can see this is 100% capped. This is fabulous. We love that. If you were to do some that was your 80%, you definitely would want to check what the water content is, and we'll actually do that now too. We'll check our water content in our honey. Oops, I need to tighten my bolts. Come on, get off. Isn't that lovely? One more to go. We also save our cappings once they get drained. And I am one that does do some open feeding with my bees, so I will feed back my bees the wax cappings when there's times that they need some food. Spin it. And that nice big fat one. I like it. Makes life easy when you go to slice. All right. We're going to put our lid down right now. We're going to start, I'm going to wash my hands off, start my spinner at a slower speed to make sure the balance is correct. We always get a few little bees. Oh, turn it on would be helpful. We actually use a rubber mat underneath our extractor too. It helps keep it in balance and from sliding across the floor. So we got a little unevenness here. I'm going to slow it down just a little and maybe rearrange. So we've got it a little bit more balanced. We'll shut our lid, raise the speed just a little bit more, and we'll sit back and wait. Don't leave your spinner. Once in a while it can decide to just walk on its own. You also want, now that your spinner is going, you want your gate open. So you want your honey to be flowing, sorry. You want your honey to be flowing. And there you have it. We use the bucket method with just a strainer. There are different levels of strainers. You can strain it thicker, a finer mesh to have it strain and leave nothing in it pretty much. We use the number 2. Now, what you want to be careful of is to make sure your strainer's going through enough and you don't let too much honey and overflow. Then you have a problem. You haven't got strained honey in your bucket. So I may need to turn it off a little bit, let that go ahead and drain through. We've done several spins before this, so our strainer has gotten a little more clogged, and we're going to end up waiting it out here and then rinsing them out clean and getting them really clean so it'll go through. I also use a spoon sometimes. Kitchen utensils are always great. So of course now we're just straining out bee parts and wax and letting the honey go strain through. As you can see, he does usually have a third one going. One important thing that you want to do with your honey as you're pulling and extracting is to determine if the water content in the honey is at their correct allowable amount. 15% to 18.5% is acceptable. I would say I like mine between 16 and 18.5, but that's one of the refractometers that you can purchase is similar to this. Make sure you get one that is used for water content and not just the alcohol content. They do make that for mead makers or for alcohol makers. So what we're going to do is just take a small drop of honey. We'll just go right from our bucket here, and we're going to put a drop or two on the refractometer. Put the lid on it, tap it down just a tad bit. I think there's a little air bubble in there, we'll get that out. And then when you look through it, you want to look at the light, and you'll see the blue line versus the white line, and this is right at 18%, so that's really nice. A little under 18%. So that's great. So there we have it. We just now have to continue to get rid of all the supers and we'll have a wonderful harvest.